Alright, welcome back to part 2 of the Pokemon MMO Nuzlocke. We left right after we beat the first gym. Now it's time to stop PETA from abusing animals. I think it's pretty safe to say that absolutely obliterated. After being a team of 2 for so long, we finally decided to get another encounter. After running into 5 more Matpats, we finally got our new encounter, a little Purloin. After that, we headed to the local daycare, where I beat multiple children in Mortal Kombat. Except for this part, the new thing just died. It didn't even get a nickname at any point. It just straight up died like the second I got it. No excuses there. It's just something that happened. We even beat our first ever double battle. Once again, we destroyed Charon's entire team. This guy isn't even a challenge. Then, Bianca, the destroyer of worlds, asks for our help because Team Ginger stole this little girl's Pokemon. Then, I defeated the trainers that remained at the preschool before I went to get a new encounter. I was understandably worried I wouldn't get something good, considering the fact that everything I've had other than Ace and Basic have died within one battle of me having them so far. But it turns out I would encounter this little Blitzel. After catching the Blitzel, I named it Martin, after everyone's funny movie giraffe. After that, I went into this cave to prove what I already knew, the fact that Gingers in fact do not have souls. And I did that by beating them in combat, which means my opinion is the correct one. I caught a Roggenrola named Rolla-Cola and headed towards the next town. Then, after a few more trainer battles, we made it to the next town. And for once, things felt like they were going well. I almost had a full party of Pokemon. The events of the next few minutes are going to prove me horribly wrong. The next gym is normal type, and there's plenty of fighting types on this next route, so I was really hoping I would end up with one of those. But instead, I got a Temple. This is definitely not good for us, considering that I already have one water type on my team that also happens to be my starter. This also makes the next gym infinitely harder because we have no type coverage for normal. Fortunately, it does have the move Supersonic, which causes confusion, so that could come in very handy during the gym battle. Unfortunately, we did lose Cola Mola to this very annoying nurse. But now, after a very lengthy battle, we unlocked the ability to heal on this route, which will come in very handy during grinding. This is when PokeMMO, being a harder version of the normal Pokemon games, really started to show itself. The number one problem is the move Retaliate. This is a move that is normal type, and I know that the gym leader has it. And it's boosted whenever a teammate died as the previous turn. This is a problem because I know at this point that the gym leader has at least 2 Pokemon. And so far, this move has already done massive damage with these lower level Pokemon and without the teammate death boost, so I was absolutely terrified of what was going to happen if I went into that gym. This Lillipup had been really giving me some trouble, so I decided to try and use Squash to confuse it, but unfortunately that resolved in the death of Squash. I was then able to use Ace to be able to sweep the rest of his team. Mid-grinding, I wasn't paying attention, and kept Martin in with a Temple, which resulted in him getting hit with a Mud Shot and dying. I thought for certain Martin was going to be the third member of our party that was going to help us get through the third gym. In fact, most of my strategy revolved around him using Thunder Wave to paralyze the gym leader's Pokemon. So without him, I was without a strategy. So over the course of one episode, I went from having 2 Pokemon to having 4, and now back to having none. Except for Basic and Ace. Understandably, morale was low. But my IQ is lower. Once I evolved Basic, I decided it was time to go head first in the gym challenge. Once again, I was jumped by the CEO of PETA. This time, I'm ready though. He didn't stand a chance. Basic is overleveled. A handful of trainer battles and one puzzle later, I finally was able to challenge the gym leader. After these trainer battles, I was more scared to retaliate than ever, but I was done with grinding and there wasn't much more I could do to help my chances of winning. Except for the fact I have come up with a new strategy. You see, Ace learned a new move, Yawn, and my strategy was to use Yawn to put their first Pokemon to sleep, and set up the sweep with Basic. Once the Audino fell asleep, I sent in Basic to start up the sweep, but instead, she sent out her Watchog. This caused me a whole bunch of trouble, because I had no idea how many hits from this thing I could take, but I decided to take a risk and go for the workup. I used Retaliate, and I was fine. I risked it, used another workup, and I was fine. But I couldn't take another Retaliate, so I used one of the super potions I had bought from the Pokemart to heal. This was my new strategy. I spammed this until I had about half of max attack and special attack. Once Basic was buffed, I went for the first attack. He landed a crunch that was a crit, but it didn't kill me, so that wasn't that big of an issue, but it did lower my defense, so that was kind of scary. I used the Razor Shell, and it one-shot. This is where it could become scary, because I know her next Pokemon has Retaliate, and this is going to be buffed and I have lowered the defense. I potioned up, and prayed that I would be able to tank the next hit. It got me really low, but I survived. And the game's new feature, where you can only use a certain amount of potions per battle, it was down to this. I had to sweep. I used the Razor Shell, it hit, and a no-code. And with that, her two Pokemon that had Retaliate were down. It was just her Audino that pretty much only served as a tank. And just like that, I got our second gym badge in the PokeMMO Nuzlocke. This was definitely a very humbling experience. We lost a lot of new friends that we met this episode, but we made it through, and that's what really matters. On my way to the Pokemon Center after leaving the gym, it turns out Team Ginger has robbed the museum. But that's a problem for next time on the Pokemon Black and White PokeMMO Nuzlocke. I'll see you guys then. Bye bye.